I'm Representative David Webster, the sponsor of the original legislation, which was reported out and passed by the Maine legislature as LD 1310, resolve relating to review of international trade agreements and management of groundwater resources. It's my pleasure to be at this important public hearing. I wish to thank the Water Resources Planning Committee and the Citizens Trade Policy Commission, as well as the Office of the Attorney General, for all your time and excellent work on this important issue. In addition, I want to thank the public who are able to attend, as well as those who devoted time and expressed interest in this important issue since I first submitted the enabling legislation. We in the legislature are at our best when we are armed with facts and a broad view. And too often the constraints created by our legislative committee structure and our time constraints make it difficult to fully explore issues. We often speak of the silo effect of our committees and bemoan the pace of our work. This resolve and the work you are conducting is an important complement to the legislative process. I'm confident the report you will provide to the Joint Standing Committee on Natural Resources will enable the legislature to better understand Maine law's capacity to regulate groundwater in the context of international trade agreements and help us better understand any next steps that may be needed. With that important goal in mind, I'll conclude in order that we might all have an opportunity to speak briefly at this public hearing and you may complete your work. I want to summarize with these 2 points. I look forward to your report, and I wish to thank you again for the time and commitment you are devoting to this important issue.
We must keep our natural resources as a public trust so that we and the future generations have a say in how they are utilized. The doctrine of absolute domain does not protect Maine citizens. The people of Maine and the United States in general will be very upset, to put it quite mildly, if they knew about what we could be the biggest giveaway program yet. Please carve Maine's water resources out of the international trade agreements to protect our state sovereignty and ensure that decisions about our water can be made here in our state. Thanks for listening.
Water is quickly becoming a very sought-after and desired natural resource by large multinational corporations who will make it a commodity and sell it for profit to these other nations under any agreement leading to globalization. So because of what I just related, putting Maine's ground and surface waters in a public trust seems to make sense to me. It all boils down to what we Maine citizens have been trying to do for a very long time: get our voices heard regarding the management of the state of Maine's most precious natural resource, and that is water. Vermont already saw that water's desirability is going to surpass that of oil, which makes sense, as it is what keeps humans and every other living thing alive. We need air and we need water, and Vermont has adopted a public trust status for their groundwater. Along with Vermont, Massachusetts, Michigan, and New Hampshire, and Maine, along with Vermont, all of these other states are recognizing that groundwater is not limitless and are looking at ways to protect it. I, for one, would like to keep water in Maine, for Maine citizens first, for United States citizens second, and then on to other countries on an as-needed basis.
I am chair of POWWR. POWWR stands for Protecting Our Water and Wildlife Resources. This is a small grassroots group that was established in 2007 because Nestle had sunk 23 test wells in our state-owned game preserve called Vernon Walker in 2005 in Shapley and Newfield, without any public input whatsoever. So we educated our neighbors and ourselves about this action and fought this international company for 2 years, and were successful not only keeping them out of Newfield and Shapley, but having them remove all the test wells this past August. This was an exceptional victory for a small rural community, fighting not Poland Spring, but Nestle North America. We also need to understand how powerful NAFTA, and the World Trade Organization is when we agree to do business with these corporations. We cannot let the lobbyists, lawyers, and these international companies who want to please only their shareholders. We need to please the people and protect the people of Maine. That's why we're here today as POWWR citizens, because we're very unaware and uneducated on this fact, and because of the water issue and because of the international laws, it's something that's so important to us here in Maine. Thank you.
The lack of transparency is a pet peeve of mine, especially with the issue we had in southern Maine recently with Nestle. 3 years went by with large-scale groundwater extraction activities before any of the public was notified. This activity took place on public land, state-owned land, and I am in a butter. There was no public notice of any sort that these activities were taking place for 3 years. It's the opinion of some legal experts that foreign corporations extracting and selling groundwater automatically get special rights as a foreign investor to overrule our local laws through the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution. These special rights are a serious threat to the citizens of this state when it comes to protecting our natural resources. Beyond the water issue that we've had to deal with in southern Maine recently, there's an issue of our state sovereignty, which some people have already spoken to. States and municipalities should be allowed to pass their own legislation necessary to protect the health and safety of the citizens of their municipality or state. When a town or state signs a contract with a company, such as Nestle, investor rights give these foreign corporations greater privileges than domestic companies. Our local authority is then overridden by these international trade agreements. Protecting natural resources is one of the most important jobs of our legislature. These trade agreements should not tie the hands of our democratic process. Number one, our state legislature should pass a resolution that removes groundwater from trade and investment agreements. My second one is our groundwater should be put into a public trust where it belongs for the people of the state. The third one is trade and investment disputes should be heard in a court setting that's public and not closed behind doors. States should have representation and an opportunity to participate in the process of negotiating the NAFTA, the CAFTA, and the GATS, and all of those things mentioned. Apparently, we don't have that opportunity. Maine should pass policies that require high levels of disclosure so that municipalities such as Newfield and Shapley would know what kind of trade agreements they were getting into before any contracts were signed. Future generations will need access to clean, affordable water. Groundwater may be their only liquid asset left. For that reason, I think it needs to be put into a public trust.
I'm very concerned on all of our national resources in the state. We have our electricity controlled by a foreign company. We have our northern woods pretty much by a foreign company. We have a foreign company that is also bottling our water. Water is not a commodity. It is a right to all the citizens of the state. It is something that we need in order to live. We cannot survive without water. I'm also very concerned with our absolute dominion regulations based on the 2006, I believe, changes that were made for eminent domain. Under those changes, any corporation can come into a private person's property and take the groundwater that is under that ground if it chooses to for profit. Eminent domain has put our absolute dominion in jeopardy on a state level, on a foreign level, and definitely with the World Trade Organizations based on for profit. We need to be protecting our water and our groundwater in a public trust. It should be there for all the citizens of this state, not for corporate profits. It's been stated by numerous people. We need to also get water away from being a commodity. It's not that commodity. In our sister state that we were part of at one time, Gloucester, Massachusetts, is in a big fight with Suez, a foreign company. It has got control of the municipality's water supply before the town people even knew it was happening. They now own 46% of the fishery licenses in that state. They have put in liquid natural gas terminal right off that. That is affecting the fishing industry. That's surface water that we say we regulate, we have got things there, but again, other examples how foreign companies have come in, manipulated our laws for profit. Please do whatever you can to protect our water for the citizens of this state and this country. Thank you.